Ladies and gentlemen, debtors and borrowers, this is Bankruptcy Bailout. Welcome. My name is Matt Berkus, Colorado bankruptcy attorney, and I've been doing bankruptcy and debt relief for going on 18 years now. What we're going to talk about today is how to prepare for your initial consultation with your bankruptcy attorney. Now, from our perspective, the initial consultation has three goals. The first is to learn about you, and the second is to learn about your situation so we can understand the challenges that you're facing. And then the third is to explore what options are available to you to resolve those challenges. So at the start of the consultation, the first thing I'm going to ask you is basically to tell me your story. Why are we talking? Why did you call the office and schedule the consultation? So this could be whatever it is, right? Maybe you have your wages being garnished. Maybe you're being sued by a creditor. You have too much credit card debt. You were divorced a couple of years ago. You have a lot of medical debt. Whatever the situation is, that's what I want to learn about. I want to know why we're talking. And then from there, we'll go into the second phase, which is gathering the necessary information I need to explore your options. So this is where you want to pay attention and take some notes, because this is the information we're going to need. So the first thing we want to know about is your debt. Debt comes in two categories, unsecured and secured. So your unsecured debt are things like your credit card debt, payday loans, student loans, and I'm going to ask you specifically, well, how much do you have? So you should be ready with that information. So if I ask you, well, how much credit card debt do you have? You should be able to respond and say, well, I have $35,000 in credit card debt. And I have, $5,000 in payday loans and $60,000 in student loans, whatever it is. And then we'll talk about, or I'll ask you about secured debt. So secured debt is like mortgages and car loans. And we'll talk about those here in a second when we get to the property section. All right, and then from the debt, the next thing we'll talk about is your income status. What kind of income do you have? Do you have income? Are you receiving unemployment? Do you have a job? And if so, what is your gross monthly income or gross annual income? All right, so you should be prepared with those figures. And then the third thing we'll discuss is your property. So the big three are house, vehicle, and retirement accounts. And then 3.5 is your bank account. All right, now specifically with a house, the information we're going to want to have is what's your house worth, how much is the balance of the mortgage, and what is your monthly payment, and then lastly, are you behind on the payments or not? And then we'll do the same thing with any vehicles that you have, and we'll go from there. And then we'll ask about, I usually ask then, well, is there anything else that you own that's worth more than $1,000 on its own? Because most people after cars and houses, after their house and car, don't really have anything of true value, but we still ask. And then the last thing we'll talk about is just some miscellaneous questions. So these questions would be like, have you ever filed bankruptcy before? Have you sold anything in the last 2 years? So there'll be a few items like that we'll ask you about. Then we'll go in and explore what options you have. And that's our opportunity to go over with you, now that we understand your story and understand your situation, well, what can you do? And at the beginning of this part of the consultation, I'll usually ask, well, what is it that you want to accomplish? So this is going to tell me two things. It's going to tell me what your goals are and what are your predefined expectations. And that way I can tailor my discussion with you around your goals. And if I have to have a discussion about resetting your expectations, because oftentimes there's going to be a difference between what you want to do and what you can do. And we're going to focus on what you can do. So we'll go over your options, and we'll go over the particulars of the options and try to narrow down, well, what is it that you can do to resolve your challenges and achieve all or most of the goal you want to achieve. And in that discussion, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. We'll go over a lot of information about what is involved in that options. And of course, we'll talk about the costs and the timeline involved for implementing that option. So I hope this conversation has been helpful to you to understand what to expect during your initial bankruptcy consultation. Again, my name is Matt Berkus. My law firm is Berkus Law Office. We do our consultations by phone, so we look forward to hearing from you.